talk about uh, mergers and acquisitions. Yeah, mergers. But before we even talk about, I want to ask few questions from you, and then let's see if we can have a little discussion and so on. Do you guys remember that in one of the sessions uh, we were talking about team management, and we were talking about what can be some of the challenges when we are working in a team. Uh, can you guys remind me, when you are working in any type of team at your home or at work or in school, what are some of the challenges which you face when you are working with team? So we would like to just brainstorm a little bit on this and then move on to our topic. So what I'm trying to ask is, whenever you work with other people, uh, what are some of the challenges you face? Yeah, so please go ahead. Yes, I am hearing you. So you are talking about understanding. Elaborate a little bit on that, please, Matthew.
As in team chemistry. How well do you guys work together? You know, how well do you guys listen to each other?
Very good point. So we are starting that when we are working in team, understanding can be a problem. Listening, of course, is a problem, because many times we are listening to other people, but then we are not really listening. We are preparing our response to whatever is being said. Yes, so listening, communication, understanding, that can be one problem. Next one, please. Go ahead.
So another one could be conflict resolution in terms of, like, if I have a difference in opinion, I don't force my opinion on yours to say it is a better opinion to go with.
Well, great point. When you are working with other people, there can be some, conflicts. Opinions can be different, so you have to manage that in a team. When you are working alone, you don't have that challenge, but in teams, you do have that challenge. Very good point. Next one, please. Go ahead.
Freeloaders, persons who join groups solely on the fact that the persons that are in the group are competent and know that they are going to be the ones to do the work, so they take advantage of those persons.
Yeah, very good, Mickey. This is something which happens again and again. Like, there will be people who would not be working for various reasons. It is not necessarily that they do not want to work or they are not interested. There can be other things. For example, maybe when they joined, they are interested. But link it with the previous idea which our friend gave. For example, not listening. So the people who is the people who are in the group, they made some points, but whoever was leading, they were not listening properly, or they did not give proper feedback, or they were not appreciated, some of those things. And then what they said, all right, let them do the thing. This happens many times. So freeloaders, yes, but not necessarily in the sense that they don't want to work. Sometimes they don't want to work, but then sometimes they do want to work, but then conflicts, not listening, those type of things can also happen. Yes, next one, please. Good points.
There are like big personalities, like persons can have like different personalities, and sometimes big personalities can clash.
Very good, very good, very good point. Personalities, they are different personalities. I am giving my opinion, you are giving your opinion, and at the end of the day, whoever is leading us, they take your opinion, and I might start feeling bad or something, or envious, or those type of feelings can happen. So the role of leadership becomes very critical. For example, when you are talking about conflict, when you are talking about not listening, when you are talking about freeloaders, when you are talking about these personalities, please link it with the discussion about leadership. Yes, so leader, how challenging it can be for the leaders, because at the end of the day, you cannot make everyone happy. there will be some people who will not like your policies or whatever. You can link it with what is happening in the country, not just our country, across the world. Governments are making their policies towards COVID-19. So, like for example, our government has said that okay, you have to wear masks now outside. It is mandatory. The curfew time starts from 6 p.m. and so on. So, of course, it will be challenging for many people. Many people have to earn their livelihood on day-to-day basis. Those type of things. So that can now form conflict between a regular person and a policeman. It can happen. Maybe he is out on the road and police stop him, and then there is some quarrel or something. What to do in those type of situations? If there is someone who is out on the road to do something, how to deal with that? It can be a major challenge. Do you want to lock that person up, or do you want to give them a warning? And whatever you do, there will be some consequences of that. So think about these things. Very interesting. Good point so far. Next one, please. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. What I was saying is that the decision process takes a longer time when you're working with teams, as the leader has to ensure that each member states how he or she feels about the specific decision that needs to be made, and therefore, after reviewing all these decisions, that's when the leader is able to make the decision. So it takes a longer time for the decision to be made.
Yes, very good, Shan. More time, of course. Yes, next one, please. I know that there is no one in the line. Yeah. So, of course, what Shan is saying, that more time it is going to take. When you are doing things alone, you can decide on yourself. But when you are working with other people, you have to consider their opinion, what they are saying, and so on. Yes. Alano, you want to say something? Your hand is raised.
Good morning, sir. Yes. I was saying communication plays a vital role in team effectiveness, because how you bring across the message and how they interpret it. For example, in Jamaica, when Andrew only say everybody must stay inside, and not everybody understand the meaning of stay inside, because they don't know that when they go outside, they'll get sick because they have other things to do.
Very good. So policies and those type of things, of course, they are important how you make it, but most important thing sometimes can be how you communicate. It is not the idea necessarily, is it? Many times it is how you are telling the other people, how you are connecting with them, and so on. Think about that. The political leaders, for example, in their even if you are not don't think about coronavirus times, regular times, political leaders come, more or less they are saying the same things. They are telling you, and they come to vote from you in the election time. When they come to your constituencies, they say we will build roads for you, we will give you jobs, we will, all those type of things. Everyone is saying the same things, but then you are listening to one side and maybe not thinking that other side is not really truthful, and so on. What is that? Many times it is communication. So people who become very successful in politics, most of the times, not always, but most of the times, they have very good communication skills. They can.
In the garrison, where like during the weekend, I live in the garrison, so the 3 o'clock curfew over the weekend was really difficult for my community members. But like for community, like the videos you guys seen on communities at Rima, the resistance, they enjoy resisting the curfew time because they enjoy running up and down from the police. They get a joy from it. Because, and another thing too is because politics play a part in that, because over those guys so is mostly PMP peoples living there. So because the head of government, prime minister, is a JP leader, is kind of creating a greater resistance because of the people, because there's a political stand also for the resisting what's happening. Even though it's a great pandemic, they're just really resisting because honestly, they just don't want to go inside, whether or not it's a pandemic and whether or not it can affect them at any time and cause a great damage to them and their family. They're just resisting, which is a really great problem right now in Jamaica, is the resistance of change, resisting. Like people going out in large group and still not taking adhere to 6 feet apart, or they're going outside not wearing a mask or whatever, this and that. So to me, honestly, right now it's just resisting to change certain habits that people have right now.
Thank you very much for this point. This is worth thinking about. So you are in a team, and then let's say that it is a big team, and you have different people with different opinion, and you have some grouping in the team. If you are thinking about a bigger team, not just 5 6 people, think about a bigger organizational team. So you have some people who are pro, and who are some people who are against some idea. So think about, once you start implementing it, the opposite group, they are going to show you a lot of resistance. From day one, they are going to try their best that your idea fails, because they want to show that their idea was better. So many times they will forget the collective benefit of of the team, or collective benefit of the organization, or in the example which our friend is giving, collective benefit of the country. So resistance, of course, is going to happen. So how to manage that, how to listen properly, how to communicate properly, how to, as our other friend was talking about, conflict resolution, how to manage the conflicts and so on in the team, that these things are going to result in either the success or the failure of working effectively in a team. Yes. So how you mitigate these challenges is going to be very important. Yes, someone want to say something? Yeah, I'm seeing some raise hand.
Please, sir. I'm saying that the same thing is happening in the US, where they're complaining that the lockdown is causing a destruction of the economy. So what they're doing is putting up posters around America, saying that come for the march on a certain day, no matter if you're sick or healthy, come and rally with us or whatever, to protest against the lockdown. And in a way that sounds dunce, but that's also a form of resistance towards the whole situation.
Very good and absolutely true. So I think this is a good start for understanding what can be some of the challenges in a team in terms of managing change and so on. So try to reflect on the earlier discussions. For example, we were talking about individual change. What are the dynamics of that learning curve and all those type of things? Team change, we were talking about organizational change. In one of the sessions, we were talking about leading change, leadership, and so on. In the last session, we spoke about restructuring and those type of things. So try to think about those discussions and the pointers which you maybe liked, particularly these ones, the issues with the change management in teams and groups, when more than one people are trying to do something. Yes. So with this background, and I'm sure many of you have other pointers, but maybe you are not, you don't want to say them over here, but just think of them. And with this context, I would want to start this discussion: mergers and acquisition. Yeah. So mergers. So anyone can give some type of definition, that what is your understanding of merger, what is your understanding of acquisition. It is merger is you are combining, and acquisition you are acquiring. Say something on that, mergers and acquisition. What is your understanding? And look around, look at mergers and acquisitions in Jamaica, when companies were coming together, or on a global scale. From your other courses, like if you have done, for example, courses like international business management and those type of things, uh, give some examples of mergers and acquisition, just to know that you do have some understanding of what is a merger, what is an acquisition. Please go ahead. Yes.
Sir, I don't remember quite exactly what happened, but like Lime and Flow. I don't remember if it's a merger or acquisition, but that was one of the great mergers and acquisition that Jamaica, and even Lime and K-Band Wire, whatever. And Claro and Digicel, when Claro came to Jamaica, I know that Digicel acquired Claro because Claro was making a lot of loss and going great debts. Also, and even Air Jamaica with Caribbean Airlines, they acquired Air Jamaica. It wasn't a merger. I think that's it.
Very good examples, and you are absolutely correct. All are relevant, pertinent in our environment. And think about, like, for example, pick a couple of examples. Even if you are not going to talk and you are just thinking on your own about this. So for example, Flow and the other company, when they come together, what happens to usually when what I'm trying to say is usually when companies come together and merge, many times what happens is one of the names is gone out. So two companies A and B, they merge together, and then at the end of the day we only hear about the B company. A company is now merged in B, so it is not recognized from the name A. Yeah, you can think about that. That is interesting. So good start. Yes, please go ahead. So try to give some examples of mergers and acquisition, so we can build on this. That what is your understanding, and then we can talk more on this. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Can
You're
you hear
right
me?
about a company that acquires the next company sometimes takes the name or whatever. Like for example, Lime acquired Flow, right? But Lime decided to use the Flow name. Another example of a merger, well, that was acquisition, but as an example of a merger is the Gleaner company and RJR. They merged into one company, but they still both have names. And for example, Disney and Marvel, Disney acquired Marvel, but they're still both using their names. So that's an example on an international scale.
Yes, very good example, and it kind of balanced the comment which I made. So sometimes when they are merging, they are keeping both names, and sometimes one name is lost. Yeah, think about this. So also think about, for example, it must be when you are merging, it is a chance that some personalities, as you are talking about, there are some big personalities in team. Maybe some personalities will get lost, just like the name, and maybe some culture will get lost, or maybe some processes or way of doing things might get lost. Uh, uh, it is a possibility. Yes. Go ahead, please. Next one.
Yes, sir. So,
Sir, so there was a merge between Cable and Wireless Corporate Credit Union and St. Elizabeth Credit Union. However, Cable and Wireless Credit Union is still the largest, and I think they have I don't know if St. Elizabeth has a name or not, but I just know that Cable and Wireless Credit Union is basically the largest and it's mostly known.
Very true. Very true. Good example. Yes. Next one, please.
yes, sir. So there was a merger between the and they increased their capability and thus was better equipped to provide better service to their local and abroad market share. Also, they were able to reduce their costs because if they were separate, they would have to invest heavily in.
Yes, fair enough, fair enough. So follow up a question in the discussion can be that let's try to answer this one. That what do you guys think when merger happens, when there are two companies and they come together for different reasons, maybe for growth, maybe for idea sharing, maybe to increase their profits. Uh, Essentially when they come together they want to become better than what they were before. When two people come together, they want to be improved version. It is just like marriage. When you are marrying, well, let's not go that far towards marriage. When you are having a girlfriend or boyfriend, you are coming together, and then you are thinking that, okay, when we come together we are better in some sense, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in any sense. Whatever your goal is, two people coming together, they should be better than how they were before. That is the target. That is what will keep them together in the long run. Same with the companies. Two companies coming together and they want to get improved. So my question here is that, what do you think when, and think about these examples also which you guys gave, or other examples, when two companies, two organizations, two departments, they come together, they merge, what can be some of the challenges which you think can happen in a merger, in a acquisition, when you are acquiring some property? What can be some of the challenges, if you can please talk about that? So the question here is, in mergers, what can be some of the challenges? Yes. So please try to say something. Please go ahead. Yes, Tamarsha.
A problem could be that they're no longer able to like accompany all of the staff that both or how many companies that they're merging together had, so they have to like lay some off.
This is an excellent point. Yeah, and you guys would agree, and we have seen it time and again that merger happens, two companies, two organizations, two departments, they come together, and now once they are together, maybe leadership will change, some people will go up, some people will go out, and many times what would happen is a lot of people would be laid off or let go, or golden handshake, different names in different countries. Yes, so that would happen. So when that would happen, of course, the somewhere it is going to change the culture of the organization, and many times it can fail. It is just like the other example I gave you about girlfriend, boyfriend. You come together, maybe you guys, a girl is very good individually and the boy is very good individually, but when they come together, they start fighting, they have issues and this and that, these things happen. Both of them are fine people, nothing is wrong with them, both are fine, but when they come together, problems start happening. So people who see them separately, their friends and family, because they are nice people, they encourage them to come together, but when they are together, that's a problem. Same thing with the companies, two companies, very good companies, and then people in the leadership, people around them, they say, all right, you are doing very well, but if you come together, you will even start doing better. But that is not necessarily the case. Many challenges can occur in that, and one of the challenges which Tamarsha is telling us is staff can be made redundant, there can be layoff, a different style of working can be introduced which staff do not like, so their motivation can go down, and so on. Those type of challenges can happen. Very good. So again, the question is same, so please participate in that. So the question is, when merger happens, when two companies, two organizations, two departments come together, what do you think, what can be some of the challenges which they can face? So first one was around staff. Please go ahead.
Okay, so sir, sometimes there's a culture shift, so the department will impose their, for example, there is this company I know, they merged one company, they don't play music when they're at work, like they don't have music or television, but one company has it, and the company is the one without the TV or the radio playing, and others were saying that, but we're used to the television and the radio, so because to keep them calm and so forth. They're saying no, the other ones are saying no, that's distracting them. But so basically the more dominant department or company will just implement the least amount on.
Yes, again, excellent point, Living. Link it with the earlier part of our discussion where one of our friends mentioned personalities, which can create some problems in teams. Same way in this one, we are talking about culture, which is dominant. So two companies coming together, one culture is either going to become dominant, or it is also a possibility that people will take some bits from this culture, culture A, and some bits from this culture, culture B. And when they come together, it just does not work, because now you have mixed. Many times you would see this thing. I would encourage you to just run a Google search now or whenever you have time. Challenges, mergers and acquisition phase, or better yet, you can Google mergers which failed mergers, unsuccessful mergers. Just Google this and you will see a lot of stories, and you will see that when they were alone, when they were working separately, they were doing fine. They come together and problems start.
There can be a clash between the personality, between the cultures, and it doesn't necessarily one doesn't necessarily have to be dominant, but there can be a clash, which causes more conflict.
Absolutely correct, and thanks for this. Our friend is kind of correcting us, because earlier we are trying to say that dominant culture is going to take over, but she is correcting us that no, that can happen, but that it is not necessary that dominant culture will just go up. It can be the case where both cultures start clashing and company just fail because of they are not working in harmony. So clash can happen, and that is it. It does not has to go that clash happen and one culture wins and that becomes the dominant. Thanks for correcting us. Very good point. Next one.
So, sir,
Another
I
one
have
can
another
be
point. I have another point too. So I would say that with a merger, remember that each company works like differently. Their rules are different. How they function overall is completely different. So when they come together, like everybody has to find out as in order to work with one another. So like they have to make completely new rules and everything.
Very good point. Good way to put this. I especially like the last line that where our friend is saying that after the clash and these type of thing, it is a possibility that they would have to recreate the company. They would have to make new rules, new regulations. Everything is like new. It can be very challenging and also sometimes very frustrating for people, because it takes time to communicate. It takes time to finalize the policies, and it reaches to the end customer or the people who are working. It is a time consuming thing. Yeah, so it can be a very big challenge in that regard. Even when it is not a merger, even when a company is working alone and there are some changes and they want to communicate it can be a big challenge. And think about this, because of coronavirus, UV is going through some changes. They are implementing new type of structures for our sessions and so on. So it took them a little bit of time to create them, and then still they are in the process, for example, to understand what should be the layout of the final exam and so on. They are still working on that, so it will take a little bit of time once it reaches you guys. In this time period, some people can be frustrated and so on. So this can be a challenge even in a single company. So think about it. When the merger would happen, what happens is that the challenge is just amplifies. It becomes even bigger and bigger and bigger because of these issues which you are highlighting, because of different personalities, because of different leaders, egos, their temperaments, how people deal with the situation when others do not agree with you. For example, I make a comment and then someone makes a counter comment. How do I deal with that? That is very important in mergers and acquisition, because think about this. Our style of conducting the session is merger. I give my idea, you guys are giving your idea. We are trying to merge them together and trying to understand what is happening. And of course, then we will read other chapters and watch other videos and see what other people are saying. And then at the end of the day, we will conclude or make some opinion which is suitable to us. It is a time consuming and it is a long exercise. So with mergers, it can be a lot of pressure, which with acquisitions it can be a lot of pressure, because when you are joining together, challenges are there. It will take time, as our friend was saying, that maybe the policies would change and so on, but it will take time to craft that. As you are going through that challenging period, you have your competition. So you guys have merged, but you have your competition. There are other businesses, and they don't necessarily want you to be successful, because if your merger becomes successful, they will lose their business or business share. Yeah. So as the challenges start happening, in that time, some people will leave the companies because of the merger. Yeah. So in that time, the opposition or the competition is going to say, oh, the merger is not working out. It is going to fail. When that type of word go in the market, you guys know what happens. People don't want to work or apply for jobs in that company because they are not certain. In the stock market, the prices are going to go down of the shares and so on. People would want to sell their stocks. Other people would do different things. So it can be very challenging. And in the earlier part of merger, everyone is interested in knowing what is happening. That is why I was trying to give you that example of girlfriend and boyfriend. So when a new union is formed, two people come together. Friends want to know how is it going. How was last night? How was your outing? They want to know. So if something goes wrong and you somehow tell your friends, that kind of spreads very fast. Yeah, and it can result in confusion and so on and so forth. Sometimes it can happen, and it can be challenging for the relationship. Same way in the merger, where two companies are coming together, disputes, which culture we should adopt, what is the way forward, all those type of things. When challenges are going to come, some people in the organization, they might tell it to their friends, family, and that is how it will just spread in the country or in the sector or wherever. Yeah. So then it can have a negative fallout, and people would not really work hard to make that merger successful. Many stories on this. That is why I have asked you to just Google search, and this is important. You should do that. Unsuccessful mergers, failed mergers, and so on. Over a period of time, you should try to learn more. Yes, please go ahead. Next one.
Sir, I was just adding to the point where Felicia said adjusting to the change in the environment. So the workers probably, so in a manufacturing company, they would adjust to the change of using new materials because they would have to acquire new materials or they depreciate materials, they would dispose of those and get new materials and so forth. And the labor, some person will lay off and they might want new workers and based on that, sir.
Yes, our friend is reiterating the points about staff, layoffs, and those type of challenge. Very good. Next one, please. Go ahead.
Another example would be customer retention in a case where usually when you merge, you would assume that you would have the customers from the first company and the second company. However, if customers aren't necessarily supportive of the merge, then they would more likely go and give their money to the competitors. Additionally, in the first stages of the merge, usually there are the difficulties which everyone is making mention to. So at that time, they may have a hard time focusing on the needs of the customers, and then the customers feel unappreciated, and therefore they go to the competitors.
Very good. Thanks very much for this point. And if we reflect, we did not think about this in this way. So customers, for example, they can also now start facing some challenges, and they are not comfortable with this merger, and now they don't want to be your customer again. So individually speaking, company A and company B, company A had some customers, but after the merger, because of these issues, challenges, whatever is happening, maybe the customer support service is not very good little period of time, and then customers start going away. And you would want to link it with some of the marketing concepts which you must have done or you will do in the future, is that it is very hard to get back unsatisfied customer. Not impossible. There are some techniques which you can use and you can win back the customer who has left you, but it is very hard. It can be very challenging. And one of the reason why it can be challenging is when, for example, I am your customer and you are serving me and I am happy and I continue coming to you. Something happens and I stop and I do not continue with you. In that time, I will go somewhere else. If it is the case that the other person, the new person I'm dealing with, they give me a good service, they satisfy me. Now, even if you have improved, I would not want to come back to you unless there is some emotional connection. That is why companies always try to build, some good companies, good international businesses, they always try to build some emotional connection with you. If they are able to connect emotionally with you at some level, by using different means, by giving you recognition, by giving you appreciation, by whatever you are thinking, if they can do that, then even when the customers leave them, it is easier for them to gain them back. Yeah. So think about emotional relationship, and essentially it is talking about trust. This idea which our friend gave us about the customer, it is the trust. And we know that once the trust has gone down, it is very hard, not impossible. There are techniques to get back the trust, but it becomes very challenging to regain the trust once you have lose that. Very good point. Next one, please.
Morning. So based on what I've heard, someone made mention to the fear of job loss, but with mergers, competition is also an issue. When workers and employees are concerned about their job, they tend to compete, and this competition can be negative towards the company. This can cause conflicts between employees, which can even lead to violence.
This is very interesting and very good way to put across that in the merger, now there can be some tussle between the two companies, because at the end of the day there will be one leader. At the end of the day there will be one manager of the department. At the end of the day there will be, or there should be, one culture or one way of doing things, whatever it is. So now in the merger, both will come together and try to do things that should be their way. Yeah, that can also create a lot of challenges. Very interesting. Next one.
So I was thinking like resources, like especially if it is limited, it might cause an issue as to how it is now to be divided.
Excellent point, and this is very practical, because in the merger, in the practical world, when mergers happen, this resource is becomes a big challenge. That even the things like office space, who is going to sit where, uh, there, who will have what title, uh, the locations, that can create a lot of problems. Again, it is linked with the earlier part where someone mentioned personality, when we were trying to talk about teams. So this is very interesting, very good. So again, for all of us, question essentially I'm trying to ask is that when merger acquisition happen, when you come together, you merge, when you acquire acquisition, some assets, some company, when these type of things happen, what is your view or observation? What can be some of the challenges which can be faced by these companies mergers. And think about this, we are only talking about 2 companies joining. Think about 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah, it can be very challenging. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. So just to combine a little bit of what everybody else said, when you have a merger, whether it's with 2 or more companies, you know, each company will operate differently, and with them coming together there would have to be a lot of restructuring, a lot of change, and so eventually or essentially they will have to agree or compromise on a new organizational structure and how they're going to know combine all the processes and the way that they process everything that they do. So in trying to achieve and stabilize their union, there can be feelings of lowered commitment for employees, lower productivity. There can be also disloyalty, which they also other students identified, whereas people will want to leave the company if they're feeling like they don't fit in anymore. There'll be higher turnover rates, like they also said, and just power struggles where leadership is concerned, and there will be an overall rise in dysfunctional work-related behaviors in all levels of the different hierarchies in the company. So of course, like you had said, it's going to require some time before everything can come back to some sort of normal. That is if, and that will determine if the merger fail or succeeds.
This is excellent. I really love this point, especially Leandra used one word which is so critical for the success of mergers and acquisitions. And it is a shame that we did not. It has been like 1 hour since we are talking or something like that, and we did not use that word. And she used it, and that word is compromise. Yeah. So just like boyfriend girlfriend, they come together, 2 people. If they are rigid and they do not compromise, what will happen? We know that it is not going to go very far. It might stay for some while because other party is sacrificing or something. But if there is no compromise, the relationship is not going to work. Same way in team managing change in team. If there is no compromise, if there is no sacrifice, it is not going to work. Same way in mergers and acquisition, personalities are coming together, cultures are coming together, these things are happening. In that instance, if there is no compromise, if there is no sacrifice, if the mentality is not that, it will not be the way I am telling. It cannot happen. Even if you are very smart, you are working in an organization, it will not be the case that all the suggestions you make are going to be implemented, or people are going to agree with you all the time. That is just not possible. That is not nature of life. There will be other people who are going to give different or new or better points which can be worked on. So that compromise factor, if that is not there, it is not going to work. And I would like to link it with another point which another friend made about curfew in the times of coronavirus and garrison communities. And she mentioned that some people would not want to obey the curfew times for different reasons. Sometimes there are genuine reasons. Other times they just like to, have a little thing of their own, that they want to show their power or influence or something like that. That okay, the curfew is there, but it does not apply to me. So that is why, if you heard the last speech of our honorable Prime Minister, please try to recall if you heard it. He said something like, I know that not everyone is going to like these things which we are implementing, but everyone would these laws and regulation would require everyone to compromise and sacrifice. Sacrifice is the word, if I can remember, he used. He said that these whatever they are trying to implement to bring down coronavirus, this would require some type of sacrifice from all the people, yeah. So you can link it with that. So I love this word, compromise. So please think about this compromise. Yeah, next one please.
Afternoon. So similar to how teams operate, if there isn't a unified objective or a singular purpose or goal, there are clashes. And sometimes when they're doing mergers and acquisitions, initially, acquiring or merging with another company seems like it will benefit the parent company or benefit both of them. But sometimes it fails because they realize in the end run that the acquisition or the merger carries them too far from their original business objective or too far from their goal, and so that becomes a challenge. I think one of the examples was eBay and Skype. eBay had acquired Skype because they thought it would have assisted with their online, how they do their auctions online, and they ended up eventually having to sell it, and now it's owned by Microsoft.
Thank you for this pointer. I think this is the most important thing generally in business management and also in change management. As a matter of fact, this is critical for all matters in life. The goal, the objective, the purpose. Whatever you are doing, why you are doing it, what is your objective, what you want to achieve from that. That is critical. Anything, no matter how small it is in life, no matter how big it is, what is the purpose, why we are doing whatever we are doing. Ask this question all the time, like even right now, whatever you are doing, if you are trying to listen to what we are saying, if you are trying to participate, if you are trying to do some other things, whatever you are doing right now in this moment, there should be some purpose, some objective which you are trying to achieve. I heard some quote, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something on the lines that what a boring life it is if it does not has a purpose, or what a unsuccessful life it is if it does not has any purpose. As a matter of fact, purpose is something, if it is high enough, then the challenges which we are talking about, think about this. You guys have mentioned so many challenges. How to mitigate those challenges, how to win over those challenges, how to go out of these obstacles and become winners. What is if there is one thing which we can do, what that one thing can be. So as our friend is directing us to that direction, to that point, and I would agree that it is purpose. The bigger your purpose is, the bigger the fire is, the bigger the ambition is to achieve that objective, the purpose, then the hurdles you will overcome them, because you are just so much linked with, you are just obsessed with the purpose. And this word obsession, obsess, we many times we use it in a negative way, but I don't think it is a negative word. You can have your own opinion, I'm just sharing my thoughts. At obsession, that you really like what you are doing, if you are really enjoying with a purpose, then you will find a way to overcome challenges. On the other hand, if you do not have a purpose, if you are just doing it for the sake of doing it, if you are just killing your time, if you don't have any objective, any mission, then you would have a lot of time, because you don't have anything to go after. If it happens, you are okay. If it does not happen, you are okay also, because you don't have any burning desire to achieve any purpose or something. So for mergers and acquisition, if a merger is going to be successful, if acquisition is going to be successful, we need to look at that. What is the purpose of the top leaders? What is their goal? Why they want to merge? what are they passionate about, what makes them excited. We have to know that that leaders on the top, what makes them excited, because if similar things make them excited, then you will be able to make changes in the culture. You will be able to make changes in the processes, policies. Other things will happen because the objective is the same, the purpose is the same, the goal is same. It will be easier. On the other hand, if purpose is different, if objective is different, then you will not click, you will not go far in that merger or acquisition. So very good point. Purpose, objective, even outside of mergers and acquisition, I highly encourage you that in these times, try to reflect, try to think about that. What is your purpose? What is your objective? What do you really want to achieve? That is the first thing you should do. Once you are clear about that, then the challenges, obstacles, and those type of things, you will be able to overcome them because of your passion, because of your interest in the purpose, and so on, so forth. Very good point. Love that. So last one was compromise. Make a note of that. Compromise. That is very interesting point, and this point is also very interesting. Purpose. Yeah. Please go ahead. Next one.
Afternoon, everyone. Sir, I just wanted to say that not all mergers cause layoff, because at the Gleaner and RJR, like they had two HR, right? Because they were a different company at the time. However, when they merged, they didn't lay off any of the workers. They worked together, and you know that not all HR departments need a lot of people, but they still use both HRs, and with whatever decision they have to make, they come together and make that decision. As what Leandra would say, Miss Right, that they compromise and work together, as well as when they have new employees from RJR and the Gleaner, you know, they decide on which company to have the orientation, like if you're going to have the orientation at the Gleaner first, or if they will have the orientation at RJR second. So they do that, and then they'll have the employees, what would you say, go to both department, go to both companies, and you know, see how they operate and stuff. So sometimes the companies don't lay off all the workers, they just work together in order to make the change happen.
Yes, very good example, because we can say that that one is a kind of successful merger. So, and that is the purpose of this discussion. The idea is that we try to identify some of the challenges which we think can be real challenges in mergers and acquisition. So when we are in that type of situation where maybe we have to do some consultation, we are going through some companies where they merge with others, we are familiar with these challenges, and we can think of some ideas how to minimize those those challenges. Yeah, good point. Next one, please.
So, sir, adding to the point I was just said, although that like some mergers they don't lay off workers, is it really cost effective if they don't lay off some workers? Because considering they would only need like one HR team opposed to two.
So new way of doing things are going to happen. So it is kind of, it is normal for this to happen, that some people will not fit. And also she's kind of highlighting that it might not even be feasible for the companies to keep all the workers in many instances. Of course, there are some examples where everything went fine, where merger happened and they kept all the workers, but generally speaking, it is not going to happen. Merger means you are going to give a new identity to the company, new leader, new way of doing things, new culture. Many times you will hire new people who are aligned with the purpose, as our friend earlier was speaking about. So maybe our friend is talking about HR. So going forward, the HR policies are maybe going to change. They are going to maybe look for different type of people. it of course it depends on the merger and what is happening in that. Very good point. Yes, anyone else would want to raise these challenges? What is the solution to make a merger and acquisition become a successful? So change is happening. Because of the change, merger happen, acquisition happen. What can we do if two companies are merging, if we are consulting? What are some of the ideas we can give them that, okay, please do this, do this, do this. If you do these type of things, your merger would be more successful. Of course, you are going to face challenges, but if you do some groundwork, uh, if you do these things, you will face less challenge. So again, I'm trying to ask a new question now that we know the challenges. Please try to discuss what are some of the things which individuals or companies or leaders or departments or organizations, what are some of the things they can do to minimize the challenges?
So if you have proper communication and keep the staff updated on what is happening every step of the way, that would minimize some fears. Also, if you explain properly why it is happening and you can give them whatever sense of job security, that would reduce some stress about the merger or the acquisition. If you can like send frequent emails to let people know what is going on and the support that you plan on putting in place to help them during the changes, then that would minimize some stress, some fears about and confusion. So I think communication is the key.
Very good point. Excellent point. So our friend is talking about communication, communicating, frequent communication, using the mediums which your audience is going to use. If they are going to read the emails, send them emails. If they are not someone who read emails, then send them a text or WhatsApp them or arrange a video call or whatever way is appropriate for your audience. Do that communication. And our friend is saying that essentially you are trying to ask uh, why it is happening. You are trying to answer that question, that this merger is happening, culture is changing, leadership is changing, whatever is happening, you are trying to answer in your communication that why it is happening, what is the reason of these changes. That is very important. And I would add to that, as we have said earlier also in one of the session, you want to tell the people who are going through the change that why it is important for you, what will you benefit, how your job will improve, how your life will improve, those type of things. So why it is happening and what is in it for you. I think that is a good way to start this type of communication. And our friend used some words. For example, she said stress, she said fear, she said confusion. Yeah. So, and of course, we go through these things. We are stressed if we don't know what is going to happen. It is kind of stressful. On the other hand, if we know that this is the step one, this is the step two, this is the three, it kind of eases our stress and so on. So, very good point. Communication, proper communication, that is important. Answering the questions why it is happening, why it is important for you. Same way I would link it with the earlier pointers made. For example, having a strong purpose, having that compromise type of attitude which can compromise, that it is not
Oh yeah,
it should not be, it should not be my way or highway. It should not be that. There should be some type of and but don't take, I think I'm using this word too much. When I'm saying compromise, what I mean is that you compromise to achieve your goal, your target, your objective, your purpose. But you do not compromise on your goal. You do not compromise on your purpose. So you take time. And again, this is my thinking. You can have your own thinking. I have no problem. I'm just sharing my thought with you guys, that when you are compromising, you should not compromise on your goal, I think, personally speaking. So you should, that is why it is very important to sit down, and that is why we had that exercise of reflection. You sit down, you reflect that what is the purpose, and once you decide what is the objective, then you do whatever it needs to be done to reach that objective, and then you might have to compromise a little bit. But again, when I don't mean again that when you are compromising you should become unethical and you should try to do bad activities to reach your objective. So ethics can be a part of that also. Very good point. Next one, please.
Hello, sir. Another one could be mismatch of the culture between the two companies if they're merging. If two companies have two different cultures and different ways about going about their business, if they can't, as you say, compromise or meet in the middle and find some kind of find that good energy, the synergy between the two, then the company won't be able to merge properly. They won't be able to get things done. Won't be able to implement policies or even plan certain projects that need to be done.
Very good, Matthew. Excellent point again. And let me say that I'm loving your voice. You sound very good, better than when we were meeting face to face. And in this audio, your voice becomes very very clear. So our friend Matthew is talking about. He used a word which is very important to think about. He's talking about synergy, and again we did not use that word. We should have. So when two companies or two whatever are coming together, they are merging. So what they are trying to do is they want to benefit from the idea of synergy. What it means in simple words is that when they come together, they want to be more successful. So what it means is that 1 + 1. So individually they are whatever they are, but once they come together, they should become 2. So the sum of parts of different things should be more if you look things individually. So that is the concept of synergy. That is very important. Thanks for that. Next one.
Okay, sir. So when you're merging, something that you can try to do is like try okay, because they don't know what's going to happen. They're just in their minds. They're all over the place. So you can reassure them that it's all going to work out well. You try to let them see the vision that you're trying to achieve. Let them know that you're at point A, but you want to get to point B. And I think when you let those, like you lay those out clearly, it should relax some of the anxiety that they have. And also what the companies need to do is to ensure that their finance is clear so that they manage
Other people get some answer for that. Yes, it is important that you reassure people. Yes, we agree, no problem in that. But how much we should change is like very dynamic. We also do not know that if things will know that, like this is what happened. This is when coronavirus was spreading, people across the world were saying things will be fine, don't worry, things will be fine. You know what president of US was saying, things will be fine. You know what Italians were saying, you know what Spanish people were saying, things will be fine. But see what happened. We do not know what is going to happen, but still we have to say that things will be fine because we want to reassure. So what I'm trying to ask, that what is the best way to give reassurance to someone? Should we say things will be fine, or is there a better way to reassure? Maybe there is a choice of word or something. Yeah, so the question here is, and please participate in this discussion, reassurance is very important for the success of mergers, acquisition, and so on. But when we are reassuring, how should we go about reassuring other people? Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
Sir, so should we say that maybe
but at the same time you don't want to give them false hope, so you tell them that okay, this can happen, but please be prepared for this to happen, so they're not disappointed if negative happens along the way, if that makes sense, sir.
It makes 100% sense. Thank you very much for identifying that point. So our friend is using the term giving people false hope. Yeah. So on one hand, it is very important to give people hope. It is very important to encourage other people. Very important, uh, because once you have lost the hope, then what else is left? You just don't hope for that thing to happen. You will not work hard, or you will just, your morale is going to just go down. It is natural for most of the people, but there are people who don't look for this thing. But generally speaking, hope is an important thing. But our friend is identifying that in your process of reassuring, please watch out that you are not giving any type of false hope. That is very important. uh, you don't tell them something uh, which maybe is not very true. uh, so you have to watch out for your words. Becomes very important in these type of times. uh, Personally speaking, I think, honesty, being truthful, that becomes important. But again, uh, it is hard. It is easy to say in these type of discussions that you should be honest, you should be truthful, and you should be. I'm not disputing that. But sometimes, as a leader, you cannot be 100% truthful, because it can create anxiety, it can create fear. So for example, let's say there is a country, and you know the the number of coronavirus go very high, and then for some reason they do not tell the real number to the public. They don't die. If it is 100 people who have died, they say okay, 70 people have died, because 70 is also a high enough number compared to 100. It is not very low. They are not saying, oh, no one died. They are not saying that. But then they are not telling the real number, because if you tell 100, people might panic. They might start doing unnecessary shopping and those type of things that can create problem. So eventually you will tell them that the count is 100, but you take a little bit of time. Now, is that right, or is that wrong? It depends on the leader. They are looking at so many things, so much data they are looking at, and they are looking at whole country. So they have to decide how they are going to say and what they are going to say. But most important, I think, can be that you tell the people that we don't know how it will proceed, but be rest assured that I'm with you. I understand what is happening in your life, but you have to be genuine also. If you are lying, or you are not feeling from saying it from your heart, uh, you will know. Just like right now, if I'm speaking from my heart, you guys will know that this guy is speaking from his heart. If I'm not, if I'm trying to bluff, unless someone is a con artist, generally people understand what is happening. So very good point. So going back again to the discussion, when we are trying to reassure, what are some of the things we should keep in mind? So our friend was saying no false hope and those type of things. Anyone else can say a couple of things on that?
Sir, I think communication should take place like in person rather than over the phone or email, so that the person is able to see your true emotions and get a sense that you actually care about them not having like a peace of mind, not knowing what will happen. So though both parties don't know what the outcome will be, just showing that you care, showing empathy and so forth will sort of give them a bit more peace than they would have had previously. Because when you communicate like in a written format, when you read it, you may not
get what they're saying exactly, and it may come off a different way, and you don't know exactly how to take it.
This is very interesting point, and we should reflect on that. So when we write emails and whatever words we use, they might be okay for us, but we don't know how the other person is going to read them. It can be a challenge. Very interesting. Two words our friend used, and we did not use those words since the start of session. They are very important words. Showing care, somewhere that can be very important, showing some type of care. And she used the word empathy, showing that. That can be very important as we go about reassuring. But again, link it with not saying anything which. So essentially, always think that whatever I'm saying, if things don't turn out that way, what would happen? It again depends on your personality, because sometimes we say something and we mean it, but over a period of time things don't happen that way. But if we were honest whenever we were making those promises, we go back to the person, go back to the party, and explain them that, well, at that point in time, this is the information I had. So from that information I was telling you guys that this is going to happen. But you have to be very careful about that. You can also think about the course guidance which I posted on RVLE. So if you read the final exam section, I said that most likely you will have this and most likely this will happen. But then I said I don't really know how it would happen because they are still thinking about this. But once they know, once they confirm that this is how your final exam would be, I would tell you, and that type of language. So my own way I tried to do that. So in one sense I was trying to reassure you that no problem, don't worry about these things. They are just thinking about how they should do it, and once I know I will let you know. On the other hand, I was giving you some ideas also, but same way I was telling you that things are not 100% certain yet. Yeah, so maybe that is one thing you can think about. Yes, next one please, go ahead.
In that, making them know of the plans in place to not allow them to have a false hope, but at the same time letting them know that if plan A fails, then plan B is there. If plan B fails, then you have plan C. um Also letting them know that even if these plans don't work, that they shouldn't give up hope, because there's always something that can be done in order to put things back in place. So it's basically telling them that there are strategies in place that can be used or utilized in order to get over something or to get through something.
Excellent way to put it. So this can be a very interesting strategy, that as you are reassuring, you can say, okay, this is the plan A. Maybe we can think about that. If that does not work, we will do it like this, plan B. If that does not work, we have plan C. And let's say that if none of these plans work, do not lose hope. At that point in time, we will make a new strategy and we will inform you. That can be a interesting very interesting thing. So for example, our session plan A, they should be in person, face to face. If that does not happen, so plan B is that we will use this BBC, and we will communicate. All of us should come here and interact and do whatever we can using this medium. But if this does not happen, then plan C, we can record this and then we can post that. Or plan D can be, if we cannot record, then we can make some notes and maybe post for people. And if nothing else works, we can read the book chapter, that can be next plan E, and so on and so forth. But I'm just exaggerating it. Again, the point is that it should not be that you have too many plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because, and that is not what Bena meant. She just meant that you give one or two options, that we'll have plan A, B, C, and if that does not work, then we will come together again and we will find a way together. Very interesting strategy. Anything else comes to your mind as we are trying to wrap up this discussion of mergers and acquisition? Anything you can say on what can be some of the, so think again, let's think one more time. So think about uh, any challenges which mergers acquisitions can face. Think about the challenges maybe no one has mentioned yet and you want to add to this discussion, because I want to conclude this discussion and go to the guided reading now. So try to think about what can be some of the challenges which mergers and acquisitions can face, but no one mentioned that so far. And also mention some of the ways to minimize any challenge or mitigate the challenge. So please say if there is any challenge in mergers and acquisition which we should have spoken about but we did not, and also guide us what are some of the techniques or ways to minimize the challenges, minimize the obstacles in mergers and so on. Please go ahead.
Sir, so I was saying that we need to do an audit of our organization in terms of its systems and processes, structure, etc., to see if it can complement the impending merger or acquisition. Included in that would be, for example, like a skills audit or job audit to see, where would new roles pop up? Where would we be opening new departments? How many persons would need to, how many staff members would need to be moved to another department? That would also assist with our layoff process or informal layoff procedures, because if we know what skills we have available, it may mean that we can promote persons where necessary, or move them out of HR into another department because they have the requisite skills.
Extremely important point, and that is the maybe the first thing you should be doing. This is talking about planning. How are you going to plan your merger, acquisition, those type of things? So in that planning you would definitely want to look within. That is what the audit is all about. You audit yourself individually, at the level of department, at the level of organization. You try to do some analysis. What are the positives, what are the negatives, what are the weaknesses, all those type of things. So you audit and then you plan that what can go wrong in the merger, what can go wrong in acquisition. You just think ahead, you just forecast some of the things which can maybe go wrong, and based on your audit you can plan for that okay, if this thing happened I will have plan A, if this thing happened I will have plan B, and so on. Of course you cannot plan everything. Life is very dynamic. Things are going to happen which maybe you did not think about. But if you really sit down and reflect, I don't think that this is some challenge which cannot be mitigated. It is just like going to an interview, and you go to an interview and you come out of interview and people ask you how was the interview, what happened, and you say, oh boy, they asked some questions which I never thought about, or they asked this but I never prepared for that, and so on. If that is the case, I would say that it is very likely that you did not prepare very well, because of course there can be once in a blue moon people can ask you something which you did not really prepare. But if you really sit down and think about it, most of the times it is not that, it should not be the case that they ask you something and you did not prepare for it. At least you never thought about, at least it should be the case where you at least have thought about that at some level, and that comes with reflecting on various things. That is why I'm so high on that exercise, reflective exercise, because it makes you to kind of audit yourself, that what did you learn, what you did not learn, what you would want to learn in the future, how would you manage change, give some examples, and so on and so forth. Yeah, very good. Brian, your hand is raised. You want to? It can be your own personal life. It can be at work. It can be at school. So any type of merger when things were coming together. What was your experience like? If it worked, if the merger worked, uh, what do you think? What is the reason why that merger worked? And if that merger did not work, why you think? What is the reason that merger did not work? Uh, or you can think about the places you have worked, or you can think about the stories you have read on different type of collaborations in any field. It can be in music, it can be in sports, anything. So your personal experience on that, can anyone relate with this topic? Any type of collaboration, coming together, merger, and any personal story you guys can share. uh, if it went fine, what do you think? What was the reason that it went fine? If it did not go well, and if we failed in the merger, what was the reason of that failure? Anything you can say, maybe one or two.
Okay, sir. So for I'm president of Governance Society, right? And we had a merger with Equal Rights and Justice as we went on school tours. As we did school tours to speak about good governance in schools and so forth. So our merger with that company was successful as they basically brought the financial aspect while we brought the manpower. So that merger worked and benefited both of us because we had information that we wanted to disseminate to people, and with that merger we, the students, were able to carry out the task of giving that information, while the Equal Rights and Justice team, they were able to sponsor the trips and all the necessary things that we needed in order to be effective in doing so. So that merger was good for us.
Okay, very nice. That is an example you guys heard about a successful merger, successful experience. So it is not that mergers will always go wrong and things will not happen in the way you thought or you anticipated. It is not the case. The idea is just that it can be just challenging, because in the merger, people from two different companies at least are going to come. They have their own view of running the things and so on. Think about this. Think about this. If I am conducting this session, let's say that another person comes and they say, okay, all right, let's conduct it together. And the other person says that, okay, where are the PowerPoints and so on. Yeah, so he wants to run the PowerPoint. How we will work together? It will be very hard. So when he would be working, I would be kind of not very interested, and maybe when I am working, he might not be interested. So for you guys, you might get confused. What should we do? Should we look at the slides, or should we listen to how the discussion is going? Can be so whenever even two individuals are going to come, the challenges are there. But definitely when two organizations come together and they try to merge, as you guys have very nicely have led the discussion, that the challenges you have mentioned, those challenges can be there. It can be very hard. Many times it can result in a failure. uh, Once you fail, there can be a lot of challenges even for yourself, because let's say that before the merger you were leading a successful company, but after the merger was not successful, acquisition was not successful, and you go down. uh, it might have some, it might create some issues for you personally. You might start doubting yourself that maybe I'm not good enough. I made this mistake. I made, just like in generally in life, when we make some mistake and things don't happen the way we want, afterwards we sometimes, not always, but sometimes blame ourselves, sometimes we blame others. Maybe that is not a good practice. So in mergers, acquisition, change, whatever is going through, generally in change management, I would like to say that you are in a change situation. Even right now, the world is in the change mode because of coronavirus and so on. But even outside of that, uh, whenever there is some change, because of the dynamic nature of change, things go up and things go down and all different type of things happen. If it happens that at the end of the day, whatever things you are implementing to be successful in the change, they do not work out and change do not happen, do not worry too much about that. Manage your expectation, because think about this, most of the change initiatives in the world, they fail, and they fail for obvious reasons. It is just very hard to manage any type of change. It is hard. So manage your expectation, number one. And number two, have a different mindset when you are going through change. So the different mindset can be that you learn from your mistakes. So when you make a mistake in a change situation, in a merger, acquisition, whatever, generally in change situation, things don't work out the way you wanted them to work out. Don't be too heavy on yourself. Just learn from that experience. Just try to make most of that. So try to reflect why it did not work, why you did not get successful in the merger, in the acquisition, in any type of change. What is the reason? Is that the reason, just like our friend was mentioning about purpose, is that the reason that you are not very much driven by the purpose and other people were pushing you towards the merger, acquisition or change? Or is it the case, again same friend, she mentioned audit, is it the case that you did not reflect well, you did not do proper auditing of yourself, you did not know your positives, your negatives, your strength, your weakness? What was the reason that change initiative failed? So I want to reiterate the point that whenever you are going through any type of change situation in your private personal life or at work, have a positive mindset about that. You want to be successful in that change, but in case you are not successful, just look back, just see what went right, what went wrong. If you are given another chance to do the same change, how you would do it differently? These type of questions you ask yourself. And in the next time when you are going through any type of change, merge, so you learn from your mistake, and then next time when you are going through any change, you have a knowledge management. You know that you have done this in this way in the past, this time you will do it a little different. Essentially you learn from your mistakes. That is what I am trying to say. Yeah, so you learn from your mistakes you made in the change initiative, and over a period of time, as you manage more and more changes and you go through them over a period of time, you will get a hang of that. So you will start becoming more successful, not 100%, not 100% successful in any change. That is not possible. Sometimes things are going to go the way you don't want them to go, but eventually you will improve. Yeah, so mindset. If you don't become successful in the change initiative, you just look back, reflect, see how you can learn from that, how you can do things differently, and over a period of time you just manage your change. Yes guys, what is the situation? So far so good? Anything, many more things to that? So you should reflect on this, but again, don't take my word or any word from our colleagues as a final word. All of us are just sharing our ideas. It is your own journey of change management. When change will happen, it will come in your life. You will have to manage it on your own. So you have to have your own way of looking at it. If I say something, that is not the final word. Same for other people. If they something, that is not the final word. You take this discussion with you. You look at your own life experiences. You read widely on the topic of mergers and acquisition. You look at different companies, for example, RGR. What is the RGR merger? A successful merger. Why is it? Read on this. You will read many things and other successful mergers across the world. Listen to some YouTube talks on this. When a merger becomes successful, their CEOs come and tell why it was successful. So listen to that, and then build your own type of understanding. Read the book chapter. Build your own understanding of what do you think personally, why, how a merger can be made successful. What are some of the things leaders should do before jumping into a merger? Merger is a good thing, but is the company ready to merge? Are you ready to take different point of views? Are you ready to embrace a new type of culture? Are you ready to face opposition and those type of things? You have to think about them on your own. Yeah. So once again, thank you very much for participating in the discussion. I enjoyed it and learned many things from you guys. I hope you also learned a thing or two from the discussion. Okay, with this now, please look at mergers and acquisition in your book. So I am sharing the screen also, but you can open your own books. It's a very interesting chapter. I encourage you to read it. And you will see that most of the things, they are mentioning, you would be happily surprised that even without reading the book chapter before, you guys were able to identify those things. But that should not stop you from reading the book chapter. For example, as you start the chapter, just on the second page, look at this highlighted section. One of our friends, she mentioned this: purpose, objective, goal. They are starting with this. Yeah, so purpose very important. Get the purpose right. Same thing in the I think we can relate it in our personal relationships also, like girlfriend, boyfriend. Like if the purpose is same, it is easy to stay together. But if both people were looking for different things, different goals, then it can be a challenge. So purpose, I'm loving this word: purpose, goal, objective. I'm highlighting this question over here. I hope you can see in your screen. Why do organizations embark on a merger or acquisition? Why? What is the reason when companies go for merger, acquisition, collaboration? Why do they do that? Some people have raised their hands. Please go ahead if you have to say something, because sometimes I cannot see the raised hands, because right now I'm looking at the screen at the chapter. So if anyone wants to say anything during the session, please go ahead and stop me and say, because most important thing for me is discussion and listening to what you guys are saying. Yeah, that is most important. Yes, please go ahead.
So sometimes a lot of individuals have left a company or a firm, for example, like a law firm. Sometimes like the lower sector of the law firm, people eventually leave and then one law firm is bigger than the other, so they decide to merge, or one has more assets and in terms of liquid money or actual physical money, and they decide to merge because one actually needs the other in order to work together. So instead of like completely getting rid of the company or just disillusion the company, they join together and make one.
Yes, very true, very true. And some other friend just wrote in the chat and it just came up like value creation. That is what it is. Yes, very good. Yes, yes, next one. Someone else want to say something? I am seeing some hands are raised.
Yes, I was going to add to the value creation aspect. It was similar to when Apple acquired, I think it was Shazam, because they wanted to tap into the music streaming aspect of the industry because they wanted something that you could just click and get your music. So it's also creating value for their customers and acquiring a new skill for their company.
Very
Hello?
good, and I love that. Very good, and I love that Apple example. Just click of the button. She's talking about new skill. So after the merger, companies would have new skill, and it will make easier for the customer also to access to that music and so on. And it would be more interesting for them. Oh yes, thanks for pointing it out. The mic was off. Mic was off. Yes, I'm sorry for that. I'm learning, you know. Yes, so this is what I was saying. Yes, mic is on now. Yes. So growth, yeah, growth is one thing our friend has mentioned, and I was saying that I like that point where she mentioned Apple and you can just click and you can listen to the music and so on. It's a new skill uh, that can be important as the merger is happening. New skills are coming in the new formed company, so that can be very important. So I was saying that there are many examples in the book chapter, so I don't want to repeat them. You can read them in your own time and make sense of that. Synergy is something which one of our friends mentioned. I would like to highlight this. This is what synergy is. So potential ability of the two to be more successful when merged than they were apart. Essentially the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So A is good, B is good, but when you join A plus B, they should be better collectively than A or B. Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, please look into that. These bullet points you can read in your own time. Diversification, yeah, so essentially, and we did not maybe discuss this in a direct way. So essentially it is that when the merger happens, two when two individuals, two people come together and join, or two companies come together and join, uh, their skill set has increased. They are more diversified. So A could do 1, 2, 3, and B could do 4, 5, 6. Together, they can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Individually, they were not able to do that. So now, as a company, they are they have the ability to offer all 6 categories instead of just 3 when they were working alone. So diversification of the portfolio. That can be one of the things why companies merge. Next one, economic gain, better services. We have discussed that. You can read that, not difficult. This can be a good pressure. We indirectly discussed it in our discussion. You can read on this more. You can look at even just the first line. There is often tremendous pressure on the CEO to reinvest cash and grow reported earning. So different type of pressures that can also make you pressurize you to make some decisions, and you have less amount of time. You are working in a tight schedule, so you have to make decisions. I was reading on decision making, how to make better decisions and so on, and I read something somewhere and I liked it. It said that you have to make right decisions and you also have to make them fast. Both things should happen. So the decision should be right and it should be made fast. Now this is very interesting, especially personally speaking for me. If I have to decide on something, generally speaking, because of the nature of decision making, I might have to think and reflect and maybe take other people's opinion and read about that and do all those type of things. That is going to take some amount of time. But many times in the corporate world, we don't have that much amount of time. We have to make right decision and we have to do that in a short span of time. That is already challenging, but in a merger and acquisition it can be even more challenging, because you don't just have this decision making which you have to do. You have all other challenges, just like you guys mentioned. You have to take care of those challenges also. It can be very difficult. Yeah. Table 6.1, when you have a time, please go through this table. It kind of, give a nice layout of some of the advantages and disadvantages of why companies go for mergers and acquisition and so on. You can look at that. I asked you to Google search and look for some mergers, acquisition which were successful. Read on them. Try to know why they were successful, and same way try to find failures in mergers. There are so many. I don't want to tell you guys. I want you guys to run your search, and if you are interested, you should do this activity and find out what were the reasons why the examples you are looking at of the failures of mergers and acquisition. What were the reasons why they failed and so on. You can do that, and from that you can have your own lessons from successful and unsuccessful mergers and acquisition. So yes, you have a section in the book which you can read. You should read that, but I think more important is that you run your own search and you try to learn on your own before you even read this. So you look at some of the good examples of mergers, some of the bad ones which did not go well, and try to identify your own lessons and lessons from this discussion and whatever. Try to have your own notes about the idea, and after that you can look into this. This one now you should. This is very important to read. Please take a moment to read this highlighted section. Please take a moment. This is very interesting and important. And even if you do not have time to read all of this, at least just read this one. Yeah. 70% to 80% of acquisitions fail. Let's take a moment on this. 70% to 80% of acquisitions fail. And if you remember in the earlier discussions, we have mentioned that more than 70%, don't quote me on this, just run a Google search. More than 70% of change efforts fail in the world. They fail. Think about this. Let me reiterate the point. What it is essentially says that whenever you will change your habit, whenever you will come out of your comfort zone and try to do something new. For example, you are trying to learn a new skill. You are trying to learn Excel and you don't know it. You are trying to learn how to make good PowerPoints and you don't know it. You are trying to learn language and you don't know it. More than 70%, and that is a change. More than 70% the chances that you will not be successful. How will you be successful? So if you reflect on the discussion, it is going to answer that question. I'm just picking up the 2 pointers because I had mentioned those earlier, so I would just repeat them. But there are so many other pointers which can be used. For example, the 2 pointers which I am repeating is the purpose. How big is your purpose? If you want to learn a new language, you are trying to learn Spanish, it will be hard, it will not be easy. More than 70% the chances that you will not be able to learn because it is a change. How will you be successful? One way to be successful is, why do you want to learn the language? What is your purpose? What are you trying to achieve? That is just one of the things. Yeah. So think about this. Whenever you are going into any change situation or other people are going into any change situation, you need to really sit down with them and ask them that why they want to do this. Why? What is the reason? Where are they getting their motivation? For example, I mentioned to you guys, and I really want to go to gym. I really have to have some muscles and whatever. I really want to, but that will require time, and with time I want to do other things. For example, this is what I am doing, this discussion which I am doing. It is not that I am doing it because it is my job. It is not that. I really want to do it. I really do. It is linked with my purpose. On the other hand, going to gym, the time it will take, I want to, but it is not linked with my purpose. And that is why I am unable to go. So you guys can reflect on this in your own life, in change dynamics, and then you have to link it with mergers and acquisition. When merger will happen, all these challenges are going to happen. Why? What is the reason you want to do it? How much motivated you are? If you are really motivated, only then you will be able to minimize these numbers, 70 to 80%. Otherwise, you are going to increase this. So once more, please read this. 70 to 80% of acquisitions fail. More than 70% of all change initiatives in the world, they fail. And now you are consulting some company on some change, or you are going through some change in your life. If you fail, do not worry about it. No problem at all, because it was most likely that you will fail. What the real question is that, did you prepare well? Did you plan well? Did you do the auditing? Did you do some self-reflection? How much you worked? Once you have done the work you can, and then you go in the change situation. After that, if you fail, no problem. You learn from that. Don't give up. No need of losing hope. You try again. Again, you might fail. No problem. You try again. This is how people have made anything substantial in life. Anything like this webcam we are using, this computer. This was not made on the first attempt. People tried again and again. Some of you might have failed some courses in the last semester. Maybe someone failed 4 courses. Maybe someone failed 3. Someone failed 2 courses. No problem. What is the problem? There is no problem. You just look back, analyze, why did you fail? What went wrong? And in this term, you don't make those mistakes. Maybe you will fail again. No problem. You try again. And over a period of time, if you are really, ambitious and you are working hard and you are motivated, there will be a time where you will start seeing success. And one thing is coming to my mind is that once you become successful, it really helps that you have failed somewhere in the same category. It really helps, because then you can connect with the people who are not being able to do the task which you are asking them to do in the merger. Because when you are doing it for the first time, somewhere you also failed. So what I'm trying to say that most likely if there are people who are in this discussion and maybe they never failed, maybe it is easy for them to pass. If they do not have the care and empathy which one of our friend was talking about, they won't understand what I'm saying. Maybe they will say this is waste of time. I don't know. Yeah. But the people who have failed some courses and they have some type of self-doubt, or they have failed in anything in life, maybe in relationship, that is also a merger, that is also a collaboration. And they might feel it will not work again. Hope is very important. But again, as another friend was saying, it should be an honest hope, honest analysis. Only then it is beneficial. So with that context, please look into this lessons from mergers and acquisition. I want to highlight these bullet points. I really like them. And you guys have mentioned these. Please look into this. Yeah. Communicate constantly, constant communication. But again, you don't want to bore the people. If you are saying something again and again and again and again, many times, then you might bore some people. So you want to communicate, but you have to have some balance also. For example, the emails which, for example, university is sending us. If they send the same type of emails again and again, are you interested in reading all the emails, or you just first you will read them, couple of emails, you read them, but after a while you just scan through them and so on. Yeah, so communication is important, but you have to have some balance. Look at these other points also. Structure, culture, and if you remember, one of our friends did mention the expectations of customers. That was very interesting. And this is what essentially, like in the last 5 minutes, what I was trying to say about failing and trying to overcome. Essentially, it is this point. Use a clear overall process. Clear overall process. Yeah. So clear overall process is to pass all the course eventually and get your degree. Yeah. So you have to remind that, and of course you will do it in your own words and so on. So please look into. They have explained these pointers in their own way. So you would have to read these. I'm going to highlight some pointers. For example, this one. Please read the highlighted section. They need to employ all sorts of method of communication to, what is the goal? To enhance relationship, to establish trust, get people to think and innovate together, and build commitment to a joint future. This is a beautiful line. Please make note of this. Maybe you can use it somewhere in your life also. So one, communicate to enhance relationships, to make relationship better. Trust, we spoke about this. Think, innovate. We always do that. In all of our session, we are trying to think together, we are trying to innovate, and we are trying to build the commitment of learning the topic together. That is what we do. Yeah, this is very interesting. Please make note of that. And of course, you can look at these bullet points. Pay special attention to this section. Managers need to be prepared as regards formal communication. They have made some pointers. For example, this one, expect some negative reaction. You are not going to make everyone happy. Please be clear about that. No matter how hard you work or how smart you are, there are some people who are going to say, well, this is not working. Yeah. But the idea is not to alienate those people or distance those people. No, that is not the idea. The people who are opposing you, you need to decide how to handle these properly, in a nice way, in the caring way, using empathy. Yeah. Not saying that, well, that is it. No. Because think about this, the people who like you, the people who support your merger, acquisition, your change, they are going to support you anyways. So what is the work you are doing? They like you, they are supporting you, they are with you. It is the people who are not supporting you, who are negative, who are trying to stop your merger and acquisition. You have to win those people. That is where your work starts. Because your friends are your friends. How you win your, not enemies, but your people who are opposing your idea. How to do that? And again, one of our friends used the term empathy and care. I think that is the only way to really win the hearts which are not with you for the long run. For the long run. For the short run, you can use power, you can use fear, threat, you can use that for the short run. But in the long run, it is the respect, it is the care, it is the empathy, understanding. That is how you are going to bring the people on your side which are negative about your merger and acquisition. This one I liked, productivity level. In fact, all the sections which are highlighted, like this section is highlighted. You should read all those sections. Yeah. And then if you go on, the book is going to talk about tackling the cultural issues. You should look at that. Keep customers on board. That is an interesting point, as one of our friends mentioned, that how to keep customers on board. Even before that, you can look into this, tackling the cultural issues, high standards, clear roles, a good reputation. You can look at these, fast and fun. This is interesting. Role clarity, adaptability, compromise, you guys mentioned. Meeting people in the middle, you guys mentioned that. Customer focus. These are some of the pointers you should think about. Remember, one of our friends spoke about audit. You can read this section also for that. Yeah. Some models are there, some pictures are there. You can look them up in your own time. This is what I was talking about. Keep customers on board. So you are going through mergers and acquisition. You have had your customers when you were working alone, but you have to keep them on board as you go through the challenges of mergers and acquisition. Essentially, what I am trying to say, that whenever you are collaborating and you are working in a team, you are working with other people, you are merger, acquisition, all these type of things, any type of change management, it is good to have confidence. I'm not saying that you should not be confident in your abilities. You should have full confidence. That is very important for any successful. No one can be successful without having confidence in their own self, in their abilities, in their skills, whatever they are trying to do. So confidence is one thing, but then you have to realize that the chance of failure is very high. That does not mean that when you are going into change or you are trying to manage a acquisition or merger, you say, well, it is going to fail, and it brings your confidence level down. No, your confidence level should be high. It is just you are managing your expectations. You are always on a lookout. You are never satisfied. You are always looking what else you can do, how you can improve the change which people are going because of merger. So you keep your confidence high, and you manage your expectation and the expectation of other people. For example, you make a layout, you plan, you audit, you reflect, and you make a plan for your merger and acquisition, for it to be successful, and you are confident about it. What if it does not go through the way you wanted it to go through? What if you fail? That what I'm trying to say is that failure should not bring your confidence down. You should still have your confidence. Confidence is something else. It should not be a false confidence. If you did not prepare for anything, if you did not plan, then you should, how you will have natural confidence? That would be a lie. It is just like going for an exam. Before going to exam, you prepare, you plan, you do everything, whatever you can. Once you are well planned, you should be confident. There is no need to panic because you did whatever you could. Because if you will panic during the exam, during the merger, during the acquisition, you won't be able to communicate effectively with your peers and with your leadership. So you should have that confidence. But on the same side, you need to understand that most of the time change initiatives go wrong. Most of the time. That statement is necessary only to make you aware. So you prepare a little bit more. It is just like if someone says final exam will be very hard. Final exam will be very hard. It does not necessarily mean that final exam will be very hard. What it means definitely is that you need to prepare more because it can be hard. So it is just for you to prepare more. Same thing for the merger and acquisition. Okay, this is interesting. You can read it in your own time. Avoid the 7 deadly sins. Yeah, this is interesting. I've spoken about these things, but not using the same words, but using other words. You can read it in your own time. There is one rule, I think. Read on this rule. 20. I think it is 20-80 rule. It is very interesting. Just Google search 20-80 rule. This is what it is. 80-20 rule. Focus on the 20% of tasks that add the most value. One of the friends mentioned value creation also. So please look into this in your own time. 80-20 rule. You can just Google search or you can watch some YouTube clip on this. And most importantly, not just look at it, try to implement it in your life. It really is very beneficial. Okay, there was one model. I'm sure you know that model which talks about shock, denial, depression, and then coming back out of depression and being successful. The name of that model is Kubler-Ross model. Here it is. So please look into this model. Look at this table 6.3. Please spend some time on this. We have already spoken about the model which they are using. Multiple times we spoke about it, and you guys are also familiar with this model. But they have linked that model with the merger and acquisition. So first it is shock, then after shock you deny, then you go into depression, then you're trying new things, find out what is going to happen, and so on. Yes, so please look into this. And in the later part of the chapter, they are talking about managing the transition from old to new. You should look into that. If you guys remember, there was another model. Here it is. Look, it is before table 6.3. We should have looked at this, managing the team, and that is how we started our discussion. We spoke about managing team. So I hope you guys remember this three-stage model by William Bridge. Yeah. So you are ending, then there is a neutral zone, and then there is a new beginning. So they have used this model of William Bridge, ending, neutral zone, and new beginning over here, just before table 6.3. So I think you have to read all of this section, managing the team, all of this section. And this is very easy, not hard, and we have discussed that also when we were meeting face to face. Please look into that. Managing ending, and then managing the transition from old to new. That is the middle ground where you are trying to analyze whatever is happening, and then you are managing the new beginnings. Essentially you are managing the things after the merger. Once the things once they have come together, the merger is there, new beginning, new culture, new process, all the things which you guys were talking about. And lastly, in this chapter, it would be very important and useful. I hope you guys remember the Kotter's model, 8 steps in Kotter's model. Yeah, I hope you have seen that video also. So this is what it is, managing the organization. This is very important section. Look at this. They have used the Kotter model to illustrate the steps from initial news of the deal to full integration. They are talking about merger and acquisition. So 8 steps of Kotter. They have, just like the Kubler-Ross model and just like the William Bridge model, which they used in merger acquisition. You will have to read in the book. I have highlighted those sections. This section is about Kotter's 8 steps, how to use them in the merger and acquisition. So please, this is very important. You guys know this already. Establish the sense of urgency, guiding coalition. You guys remember the 8, but you should read the sections for this. And at the end of the chapter, they have this very nice story. This is kind of a story. You should read it. When I read it, I enjoyed it. I hope you can also enjoy it. And then, of course, just like any chapter, you should look at the summary of all the chapters for your better understanding. So this is what it was not extensive at all. This is just very brief discussion on the challenges mergers and acquisition can face, how we can mitigate those challenges. So do some readings on that. Try to understand to the best of your abilities. Try to find some examples, successful, non-successful, and so on. That is what you should do. So with this, I want to thank you for coming to the session, and thank you for participating. Some people who always participate in discussions today, they did not participate. I don't know what is happening on their side. So please, I hope, let me know if you guys are fine, and please do participate in the discussions which we will have going forward. If you have any comment or anything you want to say for this topic which we are discussing, not anything else. If you want to talk about anything on merger and acquisition, make some point. Please make that point, and then I want to say some other things. Anything on merger acquisition, please go ahead. Yes, Brandon. Go ahead.
Mergers and acquisitions is that just like many other change initiatives that many organizations or even people do in this world, as we know, many of these change initiatives fail. However, mergers and acquisitions can work in the right context depending on how certain organizations go about it. So let's say, for example, two companies want to merge for the reason of it will make things much easier for both organizations if they come together as one. However, the danger to that is, one danger to that is the organization which is bigger than the other may have a stronger culture than the other one. So when those two organizations merge now, the organization with the stronger culture can overpower the other one, and then the employees who would have merged with the smaller organization with the bigger one, those employees may fail to adapt into how, like, the idea of how they want to merge. Yes, sir. That's it, sir.
Excellent point. And you guys would realize that although we had a lot of discussion on merger and a good amount of time we spent to discuss this, but this is a new point for us. So for example, merger. So what about if one company is big and the other company is small in size? When they will merge together, of course the bigger one is going to just eat the smaller one. So that can be very interesting challenge to look at. But of course you have to look at the context and those type of things. So thanks very much, Brandon, for participating. We were looking at what you would say for this topic. So thanks for that. So with this, I think I'm going to conclude this discussion. So we are over with mergers and acquisition discussion. Okay. So now I am still continuing with the participation. So if you are busy or